Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, RealCare Baby Bootcamp Part 1. My name is Samantha Forehand, and I am going to be the moderator on today's webinar. Your presenter will be Nate Schleve, a member of our product support team who has been with RealityWorks for almost 20 years. We are both excited to share a little bit more about RealCare Baby to make sure you have a great program going into this new school year. I do have a few housekeeping items to go over before we get started. First, we will be recording the webinar. We will post the webinar out on realityworks.com, and we'll also share it with all attendees after the session is over. We will also be taking questions throughout the webinar and at the end. Simply use the question and answer feature or the chat feature. If it's applicable to the topic Nate is talking about, we'll answer it on the spot, or else we'll save the other questions until the end. We had several attendees ask questions prior to the webinar, and Nate has incorporated these throughout his webinar to make sure everything is answered. Now, before we dive into some of his troubleshooting and support help with the RealCare Baby, I did want to share a couple of key things out on realityworks.com that can also help you with getting started to your program. If you simply go to www.realityworks.com, hover over the support button, you can then choose the applicable product you are looking for product support on. For today, we care about RealCare Baby. Once you get to the support for RealCare Baby, right at the top, you'll see the software update and download buttons. A lot of times over summer break, our computers get wiped out and we lose that control center software access, and you can download that for free right on our website. If you go down a little further, we have a great section for participant support, so frequently asked questions that your students might have on RealCare Baby. And then also a section of free webinars where today's recording will be housed, and also several other ones we have done about starting new programs, best practices, different lessons you can incorporate, and so on. At the bottom of this page, we have videos, guides, FAQs, and troubleshooting. In the video section, we had Nate record all of those questions he gets most often in a video format. Most of these are under 10 minutes long and can quickly answer any questions you have in regards to your RealCare Baby program. One I highly recommend, which is our most viewed webinar, is RealCare Baby support video Getting Started tutorial. It's a 23-minute video that will physically show you the parts and pieces you need for your program, along with a deep dive into Control Center software. It's a great video if you're really uncertain on what you're supposed to be doing with your RealCare Baby program. Under the guide section, we have a quick start guide and a help guide. The quick start guide is a very quick overview on how you download your software and what are the important aspects of it. And the help guide for Control Center software looks a little deeper into what the software has to offer, where you would find different troubleshooting tips, and so on. And then we have our FAQs and our troubleshooting, which is going to be a lot of what Nate is going over today. Going over some of those main FAQs that he hears and how you can troubleshoot your baby right on your own site without having to send baby in for repairs. Now, if you have deeper questions or you're wondering if your baby needs to come in for a repair, simply contact us at productsupport@realityworks.com or give us a call at the number you see listed here. We also do have a promotion going on right now for old or outdated competitor broken simulators that you might have. We have our RealCare Baby trade-in promotion, which is where you take those old versions of RealCare Babies, you send them in to us, and we give you credit towards new simulators. It's a 1-for-1 discount, so $100 off each simulator you send in towards one new RealCare Baby 3. And RealCare Baby 3 is the product that Nate is really going to focus on. So if you have any questions on that promotion, simply go out to realityworks.com, and our account manager can connect with you after you fill out this request a quote form. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it back over to Nate to jump into RealCare Baby Bootcamp Part 1.
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to talk to you all. So today is Baby Boot Camp Part 1. And really what this is more of a troubleshooting webinar where we are going to go over the most common phone calls that product support receives from you, the customers, because when you have operational concerns, things that you can do to prevent repairs, even fix some things on your own, and how baby functions, just like the little operating tricks. So our agenda today really is self-diagnosing the babies, how baby functions, find resolutions that may prevent repairs. We're going to troubleshoot the baby and go over most common questions. Questions like the sensitive head concerns, basic troubleshooting. And we will show you certain tricks of the trades and field repairs that will, if you have students that are mentioning, well, it's doing this and that, you can do this to determine if the student has if there's an actual problem with the baby, and certain field repairs that you can try that may prevent the baby from having to come in for repair. Also, batteries and battery maintenance, how they perform, your best practices with them, and how to maintain the batteries. And with time permitting, we will have a question and answer at the very end. We'll leave 5 minutes for that. So I'm going to go over what has actually been the most common phone call on the baby, which is sensitive head concerns. Most common comment that we get is that the baby is reporting multiple head support events on the report, or the baby comes back with abuse shutdowns, or maybe you feel that the head is too loose. There are things that you can do to verify if it is user error or if the head is out of specifications. And I will even show you how to do a sensitivity test. There is a sensitivity test on our website that shows you how to do this as well, along with other training videos, even a getting started tutorial on going over everything, from adding the babies to programming them and printing a report, all things like that. Now, if you have a baby that you're concerned that may have an issue with the head, first thing, let's look at your report. Even the most reliable, most conscientious, most responsible student can have head supports, multiple head supports, even abuse shutdowns. And it could be maybe there's something with the head, or maybe it's just how they are responding to the baby. First thing you want to do when you have a concern about sensitive head supports, look at the report. Most important, look at the report. What you want to look for is there a pattern of matching missed care and mishandle events? What happens when the baby is in a care event? Let's ask him for a care event, and the participant accidentally picks up the baby too quickly. Whammo, the head goes back. That head support event will negate the care event, so they get a double dip. So look to see if there is a pattern of matching mishandle events with missed care events. So for example, here on the screen, we have a report where the student had 5 head supports. And looking at the report, of those 5 head supports, 3 of them match with a missed feeding event. So that tells us the student is responding to the baby. Maybe they're picking it up too quickly. Maybe it's something else that they're doing. So if you have a situation where the majority of head supports match a missed care event, the most common explanation, most of the time it's user error. And the most common mistake is, again, like I had said, they hear the baby crying for care, they want to get to it, and they pick up too quickly when they're responding to the care event. Now, I'm going to go back to that last screen right here, because there's a very common mistake students do make when they are caring for the baby. As you see here, of the head support events, 3 of them were all missed feeding events. Now, a common mistake students make when they are caring for the baby is that they accidentally push the bottle against the lips when they're caring for the baby. When they feed the baby, they just have to rest the bottle. If they are pushing the bottle against the lips, they could push the head back far enough to where it hits a head support. Now, most common reason for matching miscare, mishandle events, anxiety. They're concerned that they're gonna miss that care event. So if they've watched the participant video, they know they have a few minutes in which they have to get the ID to the baby and figure out what care the baby needs. And so there's an anxiety. Baby's crying for care. I've got to respond, and I'm gonna miss this event if I don't rush in. And in their anxiety to be attentive, to be responsible, they may accidentally pick up that baby too quickly and the head goes back, causing the head support event. Now, if you see that pattern, what I would recommend is that you run a sensitivity test to verify if the head is out of specifications or if it is user error. And I am going to go over right now how to run a sensitivity test on the baby. And to do that, what you'll need is the baby. It has to be unplugged from the charger. You'll need the bottle and you'll need the ID. I'm gonna switch screens here. Let's try this, see if I... Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate how to do a sensitivity test. This video is also on our website, so you can always refer back to that to follow along with how to perform the sensitivity test. So always begin by having the baby flat on its back. Now the babies are designed that they can be in a lying down on a flat surface, table, bed, in their car seat. The babies are designed that the caregiver could just take the baby from the shoulders, lift it up, and as long as they lift it up gently, they would not trigger a head support. Now, of course, if they're nervous and everything and they go to the baby and they pick it up quickly, they could accidentally trigger a head support event. So first thing you want to do, I'm going to switch over here to, actually, I'm just going to start the preset one demo. So you go to the all baby screen, you select the baby you want to test, you go to demo, bottom left corner, click preset one, click start demo. Baby's gonna chime, then that's actually this baby. I apologize. We'll move him over. So wait for baby to start asking for care. So the first thing is wait for baby to start asking for care. When you hear the baby cry for care, you'll gently pick up the baby from the shoulders, bring it up to you, give the ID, and then give the care event. So in a moment, okay, baby's starting to cry. So imagine you're the student and everything. They're hearing this baby start crying for care. They get nervous, they get excited. They know they have a little bit of time to respond to the baby. All of a sudden, baby's gonna start crying louder. They get a little more nervous and they wanna run to the baby. Now, when you hear this, just gently pick up the baby from the shoulders. Give the ID. Okay. And gently rest the bottle against the lips. So good news is I did not trigger a head support with the baby. So that tells me immediately that the head is within specifications. Now, I would recommend probably doing a full preset one demo just to be sure. Now, had this baby screamed for a head support and I picked it up gently, then yes, that head is out of specifications, contact product support with the baby and the serial number, and we can set up a repair. I will mention that we can only repair the model if it is a RealCare 3 baby. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like when you pick up the baby too quickly. So once the baby starts asking for care, I'm going to pick up the baby a little faster than normal to trigger that head support event. So we're just going to wait a little bit more for that for our little baby here to start asking for care. Okay. So I'm going to let it cry a little bit louder again. Think of the student. Maybe they're in another room. They're hearing the baby cry and they're like, "Ooh, how long was it crying for? It's getting louder. I'm getting more nervous and I don't want to be late for this event." And they come to the baby and they pick it up too quickly. Okay, so I'm going to stop demo right now. Another thing I'm going to show you here is I intentionally let the head go back. And that would be another thing to do. Intentionally let the head go back. Pick it up sharply, get it to a head support, and then check to see how many head supports are reported. So you go back to the All Babies screen, you click stop, baby's going to chime. It's now retrieving the report. We wait for it to say report okay. All right. Let's see what folder we're in, Child Development 7. There's our report. It has today's date. We look at it, and only one head support is reported. If it had reported more than one head support, we have a stuck head support sensor, and baby would need to come in for repair. So that is the best way to check out the head support to see if the baby's head is within specification or if it's probably user error. And again, with the students as they're caring for the baby, if you're seeing a lot of head support, it doesn't mean that they're being intentionally irresponsible or anything. It just could be how they're handling the baby. Now, I'll also mention, why does baby respond better in the class than in the field? So if you do a test with them in the classroom, the most common reason is in the classroom is a controlled environment. It's far less stressful than in the field. They don't have you to be the backup or to contact. They're on their own. They don't know what's happening. So a simulation, when they're on their own, it is more stressful, and they have that potential of accidentally responding faster than they need to. Doesn't mean that they're being intentionally hard on the baby. But always run that sensitivity test to determine if the baby's head is within in or out of specifications. Now, other common operating comments that you are going to get from your students, baby not responding to the IDs, baby making strange sounds, or from when you yourself are running the baby, you'll find that maybe the baby is responding to the IDs in the demonstration, but not in a simulation. Or you'll hear that baby has many care events, too many care events, for example, or maybe the care event takes too long to complete. Talk about the baby's not responding to the IDs. That's the number one question you'll probably be getting outside of head supports. So if a student's saying that, my ID is not responding, first thing, always look at the report, because the report will tell you if the student is accurate or not. So look at the report, at the performance overview section of the report. So if you see here, first thing, check to see how many care events the baby requested. So on the proper care performance section of the performance overview box, which is on the left-hand side of that performance overview box, we see here that the baby requested 103 care events, and the student responded to 97 of the events. So 103 care events were requested. Look underneath that box where it says ID1 was used how many times. Here we see that the baby recognized an ID 109 times. Baby responds to the ID whether it's crying for a care event, a fussy event, or even a mishandle event. So we see here that there is a surplus of IDs. There are more IDs than requested care events. So if a student says it's not responding to the ID, look at the report. If there are more recognized IDs than requested care events, the ID is being recognized. So again, the surplus of IDs. So we had 103 care events. ID was recognized 109 times. So we have a surplus of 6 IDs. The surplus of IDs come from either mishandle events or fussy events. And fussy events do not show up on the report. Now, of course, if you see that there are fewer IDs than recognized care event, than requested care events, there could be an ID problem, and we will go over a test on how you can verify if there is how to fix a field repair for the antenna. Now, baby making strange sounds. First of all, find out, is it a constant sound? Do you hear it all the time? Does it ever go away? Is it always going on? Or does it happen just once in a while? If it's a constant noise that doesn't go away, perform a speaker field repair, which we'll go over later on in the presentation. Now, if it's every once in a while, that's very common. And I've heard babies making strange sounds all the way back to the original RealCare babies back in the early 2000s. And the most common explanation is that it's feedback caused by a cell phone or some other, similar device. Now, it's just feedback. It's not going to cause the baby to malfunction. It's not going to cause the baby to miss a care event or to trigger a rough handle event or report improperly. It's just feedback sound. It's similar to what happens when you get a speaker too close to a microphone. It is perfectly safe to have a cell phone near baby. You can tell that to the students. It's fine to have your cell phone around. Just don't be surprised if the baby makes some strange sounds. That's nothing to be worried about. Now, if you're running the baby in a demonstration and it's responding just fine to the IDs, but it goes home for the simulation and baby does not respond to the ID at all, and baby goes into that neglect shutdown, remember, in a demonstration, baby responds to any ID that you present to it. Any ID at all, doesn't even have to be programmed. Demonstration is a good way to verify if the antenna on the baby is functioning and if the ID is functioning, but it's not a good way to verify if you're using the correct ID. Remember, the baby will only respond to the ID you assign when programming a simulation. Now, if no ID is assigned or you accidentally give the student the wrong ID, the baby will not respond to the ID during that simulation. If a baby does not respond to an ID within 12 continuous hours, it will go into what's called a neglect shutdown. So for in a situation that the ID, they picked up the wrong ID or the wrong ID was entered or an ID didn't get entered, they will not have a screaming baby all weekend long. It will just turn itself off within 12 hours. Now, another common question you may get is the baby is asking for too many care events or the care events take too long. It doesn't matter if it's an easy, medium, or hard schedule. Yes, you can have certainly back-to-back care events. That is very, very common. Now, any of your care events like the feedings, the burpings, or the rocking events can last anywhere from a couple of minutes to over 30 plus minutes. So if a student says, I fed this baby for over a half hour, yeah, that you probably did. That's not uncommon. Again, doesn't matter if it's an easy, medium, or hard schedule. You can have 30-minute feedings. You could even have 45-minute rockings. The babies are pre-programmed with 15 different care schedules. Now, what we did back in the late 90s when we were developing the RealCare Baby line, we had 15 mothers record everything that their child had done in a 24-hour period. And we programmed those diaries into the babies. So somewhere on this planet, there are 15 19 to 20-year-olds whose behaviors as a child are programmed into these babies. So they are based off of actual children. Now we're going to go over running a troubleshooting test. So, it's not a bad idea to run a troubleshooting test a couple times a year just to see how baby is functioning. Or if you have students saying, it's not responding to IDs, or having trouble with diapers, or you're having trouble with feeding sensors, it's a good thing to check out before sending out the baby sometime, beginning of the school year. Let's run a troubleshooting test, see if there's any immediate malfunctions, or even at the end, before you put them away for the summer break, run the test and see if there's anything that might need to come in for repair. Most portions on the troubleshooting test, there's a trick for. So if something is not functioning when you run the test, for most cases, there's a trick you can try. And if it works, great, you've solved the problem. If it doesn't work, then it has to come in for repair. There is one exemption that if you run a test and it does not function, the feeding sensor. If the feeding sensor does not function, you verified, you put different bottles to the lips, you've done even a demo not responding, and you look at the report and they missed every single feeding event, that's an automatic repair. You would want to contact product support, have the serial number ready when you contact us by either a phone call or by email, and we'll set up a repair. Now I'm going to go over how to do a troubleshooting test, and then I'll go over some little tricks that, okay, if this portion doesn't respond, here's something you can try. If it works, you fix the problem. If it doesn't work, it would need to come in for repair. Okay, so first thing you want to do, always make sure the baby is unplugged from the charger whenever you do a troubleshooting test or even a demonstration. Because if the baby is plugged into the charger, the charging disables the antenna and the baby will not respond to IDs and it will not respond to the clothing. So when you run a troubleshooting test, remove all the clothing from the baby. It has to be naked when you run the test. You'll need both diapers, the bottle, an ID, and a paper clip, which I'm missing on my desk. Then I will use a little screwdriver right here. So you will activate the troubleshooting test. You'll select the baby. So you'll select your baby. Again, make sure it has a green check mark under communication, has a status of available. If there is no green check mark, you can't proceed. There has to be a green check mark. Then go to maintenance, go to troubleshooting, and then click start test. Okay, so after you've heard the cough, actually the cough would occur if you've given the baby a little wiggle. I had given the table a little bit of movement, it sensed that, and then it coughed. So then pick the baby up off the table, flip it up and over onto its stomach. Gives you 2 chimes. That tells me that the baby, that's for the wrong position sensor. I like to continue with the baby face down. You can do this in any order, but with the baby face down, take your ID, put that to the butt. Okay. Now it responds. Now, if it didn't respond to the ID, grab a different one. If it responds to the second ID, then you know that first one you tried wasn't functioning. And then go to your green diaper, yellow diaper, push down on the button that's above the red light. Okay. And then sit the baby upright. Let's put the bottle. Okay, that was for a head forward. I had my hand, my arm here was a little closer to the baby, tucked the head forward. It responded to the head forward. That single growl sound said that it passed the head forward sensor. Now, to test the head back, hold on the forehead, yank the head backward. Here are 2 of those. And to test the rough handling sensor, no one likes to do this. But what you want to do, lift up the baby's physical left arm. That's the one with the fist. Lift it up so it's out of the way. And then with the side of your fist, give the baby a good strike right above its left hip. This is where the rough handling sensor is located. So what you want to do, and if you don't want to do this in front of the students, perfectly fine. But again, ball the fist, give it a good strike right above its left hip, and you should hear 3 growl sounds. There we go. Okay, and then take the bottle, put that to the lips. Okay, and so all the main functions show that it has passed with this baby. The rest of it being a RealCare 3, you would have the car seat and the clothing. That's not necessary in order to complete the test, unless if you really want to check the clothing. Otherwise, you have really, baby has now passed the test, and then you can safely assume, okay, all the main functions are operating and things are good. Now, I'll mention about the sensitivity test. In the troubleshooting test, it just shows if the head sensors function. It does not show you if the head is overly sensitive. Run that sensitivity test if you're concerned about the head. All right, so let's say you ran the test and the head forward or the head back sensor did not respond. You took a hold of the back of the head and yanked it forward, no response. Held onto the forehead, yanked the head backward, no response. Before contacting product support to set up a repair, try the snap test. So what you want to do when you do the snap test, hold the baby under its arms. So you're looking, so let's say it's the head forward that's not functioning. Hold the baby under its arms so you're looking at the back of the baby's head. Give the baby a good snap forward. If the baby doesn't respond, give it a second snap forward. If the baby doesn't respond to the second snap, no bother, no point trying a third one. Contact product support to set up a repair. Now, if it's the head backward, it's the same thing. What you want to do is hold the baby under its arms so you're looking face to face. Snap back once. If it doesn't give you the 2 growl sounds, snap it one more time. Still doesn't respond, gotta come in. But many times, I've seen before, okay, it just needed a snap. I just wasn't hitting it right. You snap it, it responds, you're good. You can continue on and continue to use the baby. Now, let's say that it's the rough handling sensor, and you can't trigger it. Again, the rough handling sensor, it is the most difficult one to trigger. And you saw me in here, it took me 2 strikes to actually hit it. Always, use the side of your fist, give it a good wacko right above the left hip. Or let's say you have a baby that's showing that there's way too many rough handle events. Like you've got rough handle event, rough handle event, rough handle event, rough handle event, all within the same minute. Well, you might have a stuck rough handling sensor. If you have a rough handling sensor that you cannot trigger, it could be that the spring is too stiff. Now, what you'd need to do is remove the baby's battery cover, and then with a Phillips head screwdriver, you have to take out the 2 screws that are holding the electronics into the baby. I'm going to show you that real quick here. All right, so to do that, put the baby face down, take the instructor key, remove the cover, take your little Phillips head screwdriver, take out the 2 screws that are holding the electronics into the baby, pull out the electronics. Let's see if I can zoom in here so you can see. Okay, so right here, that's your rough handling sensor, that little gold spring here with a silver rod running through the middle of it. Make sure it's not resting against the rod right there, because if it is, it's going to trigger multiple head support events. But if it's not responding to the rough handle events at all, kind of flick that a little bit, loosen it up, make sure that the spring is not touching that silver rod before you put it back in place. Reassemble the baby, try the test again. If it's still not responding to the rough handling sensor, contact product support, and then we can set up a repair for you. Ooh. That's flicking the... There we go. Okay, sorry. Back on here. I accidentally had my finger on the roller and it went too far as I wanted. Okay, so now let's say you ran the troubleshooting test and the baby's not responding to the diapers or the IDs. First of all, again, make sure the baby is unplugged from the charger, because if the baby is plugged in, the charging disables the antenna, and IDs, diapers, clothing will not respond. Now, try different IDs or diapers. So if, let's say you're running the test and the green diaper is not responding, grab a different green diaper. Put it up. If it responds to that green diaper, that first diaper that you used doesn't work. Put that one aside. Now, however, if you do the test and you put up multiple IDs, you put up multiple diapers, and it doesn't respond to any of them, try an antenna field repair first. And if there's no response with that, contact product support. Now to do the antenna field repair, just like with the rough handling sensor repair, you'll want to remove the electronics. So I still have the baby unassembled right here, but you'll remove the electronics, pull it out. Now, first of all, sometimes the electronics can wiggle itself out of place. And then when that happens, you can lose sound, you can lose the antenna may not function, and it could be because it's out of place a little bit, or over time you can get some dust particles in there that can mess with the connections. So what you want to do, remove the electronics first, and then just do a simple blow in the tray, just like this. And next, what I want to show you there we go, is the other thing too here. All right, you have a little board that's resting on top of the big board. So this is our main circuit board. This little board right here is called your printed circuit board, I mean your battery control board. Now it's resting on top of this board right here. And sometimes this thing can come out of place. And over time, just movement and everything, vibrations can cause this to lift up just enough. And when that happens, we can lose the antenna and we can lose speakers. So what you want to do, kind of take your index fingers on the top here, your thumbs underneath, and give it about a good 2-3 squeezes. And then reassemble the baby, put the screws on, put the cover on, and then try your test again. If it still does not respond to the diapers or the IDs, contact product support, and then we will need to set up a repair. Now, speaker field repairs. So let's say the baby is not making any sound. So let's say you have, you've run the test. Baby passed all the portions on the test, except it did not make any sound. Or the student said the baby, it didn't make any noise all weekend long. And you look at the report and you see that there's a neglect shutdown, and it asked all these questions, it asked for all these care events, but the baby didn't react. They didn't hear anything. Good indication that the speaker is not functioning. So if you ran a test, you put the bottle to the lips, no chime, but yet there's a green check mark under bottle. You've put the diapers up and you put the ID up, and yet you're getting all these check marks, but there is no sound. That's a good indication that your speaker is not functioning. Or let's say when you do run the baby and the only noise you get out of it is just buzz, 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 and or just a click. Try the speaker field repair, which is exactly the same repair as the antenna field repair. Removing the electronics, blowing inside the tray, squeezing the battery control board and the circuit board together, reassemble the baby, and then if you still do not get any sound, time to contact product support, and we'll need to set up a repair. Now this is a big one, best battery practices. This one, battery maintenance, is very important, and it's important to also, first of all, utilize the best way to utilize the best practices for your batteries. Now the first thing you'll want to do is to update your control center. It's a new school year. I'll say the majority of instructors at this time need to either reinstall their control center or they have to do an update. So what you'd want to do to update your control center, or to see if you need an update, is to go to our website. Hopefully we have connect. Okay, realityworks.com. So put your cursor on support, scroll down to RealCare Baby, and scroll down just a bit. Here's your software update download. You just click on the one for either Windows or Mac. If it says you're updated, you're good. If it says that you need to update to the version 4.4, click download, and then update your control center. After you have updated the control center, you are probably, you may want to update the firmware on your babies. Get this back on. Here we go. Oh, I jumped ahead. All right. Apologies there. We'll get back to that. So after you've updated the firmware, any baby that has an asterisk next to the green check mark indicates that there's a firmware update available. Do the firmware update. And to do that, plug the babies into the charger, select the babies, go to maintenance, and on the maintenance screen, click where it says update babies. Now, if it's a RealCare 3 baby, the firmware update will take about 5 minutes per baby. If it is a RealCare 2 Plus baby, it will take about 30 minutes per baby. But for the RealCare 3s, the firmware update, it has improved on a lot of communication issues. But what it also has done is it also helps the batteries in performance when it's in a simulation. The RealCare 3 babies, they have these scans and background programs that drain the batteries a little faster. The firmware update actually reduces the number of scans and background programs, and it will increase the life of the batteries. So I would recommend update the control center, update the firmware. That is the best way to make sure your batteries are performing the best. Now, follow proper charging procedures. What we recommend is that you plug the baby into the charger the night before a simulation and charge the baby overnight. And then in the morning when you come in, unplug the baby or unplug the baby when the students come to pick it up. A reason why we say that is it only takes 4 to 6 hours to charge up the baby. There's no harm in it whatsoever to leave it plugged in overnight, the night before a simulation. What I ran into too many times is that the instructors, they come in, let's say it's going from a Friday through a Monday. We've run into too many situations where an instructor comes in, they plan on plugging in the babies in the morning, and then the students come in with permission forms and they have questions and, oh, can I have this baby? And can I get this type of schedule? You get a lot of distractions and they forget to plug in the babies. So it's just simple. Before you leave, plug them in, let them charge up overnight, unplug them in the morning, or when the student comes to pick up the babies. That will ensure that they have a full charge. Now, when it is time for you to store the babies, summer break, or let's say you only do the babies once a year and they sit for many, many months. First thing before you put them into storage, give them a full charge. And then once every 3 months, especially if they're put in storage for long periods of time, take them out once every 3 months, give them a charge, put them back into storage. Never leave the babies in storage, even if you have not used them, without giving a regular charge. So if you have just ordered some babies, but you're not going to actually use them until, let's say, next school year, or you're not going to use them until like the spring, once every 3 months, take them out of storage, get them charged. Now that is pretty standard for any rechargeable product, that a rechargeable battery needs to have some regular charge or it will diminish or lose its capacity to lose charge. So that's the big thing. If it's not going to be used for long periods of time, you have to take it out of storage, plug it in for a little bit. Some people like to do a full charge, really hour is good enough, and then put it back into storage. So some battery and charging facts. First of all, the batteries only have a 1-year warranty. Whether you use the baby or not, it's a 1-year warranty. After that, we really can't guarantee how long the battery is going to last. Now, keep in mind that if you have a battery and if it even makes it to 5 years, if it even makes it to 5 years, they don't last much longer beyond that. No guarantee that they'll get there, but once you hit that 5-year mark, it's not much longer than that. Once you see regular battery shutdowns after a few years, first contact product support. We'll make sure that we've tried everything to ensure that we verify that it needs new batteries. If it needs new batteries, we'll help you to confirm that, and then we can get you in touch with account services. Now, after doing the firmware update on the RealCare 3s, a RealCare 3 battery lasts only about 3 to 3.5 days in operation. You can get longer, it depends really on how the students are caring for the baby, but roughly average is about 3 to 3.5 days. And that is shorter than the RealCare 2 Plus because the RealCare 3s have more scans, more features that it reports. Now, when charging the baby, you do want to pay attention to the lights. Look at the lights when you're charging the baby. First of all, look at the green light. When you plug the charger into the baby, that green light must be solid. A solid green light indicates that a charge is going into your batteries. Now, if you have a flashing green light and it has been flashing for longer than 15 minutes, that tells us that your batteries are not taking a charge. Contact product support. We have tips and suggestions that we'll go over with you to see if we can get that green light to go solid again. Now, a big thing, when you unplug the charger from the baby, pay attention to that red light. The red light is your power indicator. That's your battery indicator. When you have a solid red light, so if you unplug the charger from the baby, you've got a solid red light, you have a full charge. If it's still flashing, you might need to charge it a little longer. But the big thing is, when you unplug that charger from the baby, the red light must be on. If the red light goes out when you unplug the charger from the baby, contact product support. Again, we'll go through a number of tests with you to see if we can get the baby up and running. Who knows? Maybe it's the charger. Maybe we have a loose plug inside. Maybe it is an old battery, and we'll try some ways to see if we can get it to revive. But when you plug in the charger, green light must be solid, and when you unplug the charger from the baby, the red light must be on. So I think this is a good portion for some questions and answers. So I'll leave it over to Sam here to, if there's anything that's been brought up right now, I'll be happy to answer. And even if it's just some general operating questions, adding the baby, programming the baby, anything like that, be happy to answer any of those questions for the next few minutes.
Okay, well, thank you, Nate. We had quite a few questions ahead of time that I think Nate did a really good job answering throughout this webinar. But like he said, we're open to any other questions. We have about 10 minutes left that we can share screens if you had specific questions. One other thing I wanted to remind you is we will send the recording out to all of you after this webinar. Also, if you visit that realityworks.com/product support, you'll find a plethora of other videos to help you get started with your program and answer any of these questions. All of those videos were created by Nate, so they're really good recordings of how you run a successful program. Right now, we do also have a trade-in program going on. And what a trade-in program is if you have any older versions of babies, broken versions, competitor versions, you can actually trade those in for credit towards new RealCare Baby 3s, which was featured in this webinar. It's a one-for-one trade, so one baby, $100 off a new baby. And our account managers would be happy to work with you to determine how many you needed for your program and what you had traded in. So again, you can just visit realityworks.com and look for our promotions page to get more information on that trade-in. And we'll just give it one more minute to see if any other questions pop up.
I'll actually start with one thing. Especially this time of year, a question we do get quite often is, where's the user guide? Where are the instructions for programming the baby? The quickest place to find it is actually on our website. So I'm going to show you here. Let me go to my desktop and go to our website, go to the product support portion of the website. So go to realityworks.com. Got this blue line that goes across the top. Put your cursor where it says support. Scroll down and click where it says RealCare Baby. that takes you to the RealCare Baby support page. Scroll down to where you see all of the videos. Now here, you'll also see you have a tab for guides, FAQs, and troubleshooting. So click the tab that says guides, and it's right here. Your Control Center help, your Control Center help guide. It's about a 50-page document, and it has everything. This is your written instructions. You can print it or you can save it to your desktop. So if you ever needed some written instructions, how do I do this? This is the first place you can look for the instructions. Now, I will also mention, and this is another question we get quite often at the beginning of the school year, where is the video that the students watch? Same website, same page here. So, and if you scroll up just a bit more, it's the second blue box. It says RealCare Baby Participant Support. Click that, and right here is the video that you would play for the students to watch. You can also print multiple participant care cards. So bookmark this page. So when you're ready to show the video to the students on how to watch it, you can just go to your favorites, hit that, and you can start playing the YouTube video of the participant experience. And I do like to stress the web page quite a bit because it has a lot of information for you that you'll find very useful. So if you're unable to, so if it's before our hours and you want to, like, oh, how do I program the baby? You can go here and you can scroll down to the videos. And for example, here it is right here. Right here, we have a support video on simple programming. Just, simple, pretty vanilla programming, getting it set up, setting it out. And there's even a little more advanced one for like setting up quiet times and maybe some other things as well. But so we have two different videos at your disposal on how to program the babies. Any questions so far?
Okay. So I see no questions. So at this time, we will plan to end the webinar and be sending you guys out some of these great links that Nate has shared and also a recording. So thank you all for attending, and thank you, Nate, for being our host today.
And actually, I'll mention that there is one more webinar coming up. So first, anytime you need to contact product support, number on the screen right here. Option 2, we're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Or you can send us an email at productsupport@realityworks.com. Responses to any voicemails or emails are typically within same day. Sometimes it usually is within either the same day or the following business day. If you email, check your spam and junk folder just in case you hadn't seen something. It's like, oh, I've sent something, I haven't seen a response. Check your spam and junk folder. We might have responded and may have gone there. But if you call us, you must be at your computer. The babies must be plugged into the charger and have your accessories and your instructor key. That will assure that we can help you troubleshoot the babies and get them programmed and out the door. Now, coming soon, next month in October, it is the Baby Boot Camp Part 2, which will be held on the 18th of October at 3 o'clock Central Time. And we will be going over, which really is the #1 phone call we get, and it will probably be the one thing you may not realize you'll be contacting us the most on. And that is resolving control center communication problems between, not really communication problems, but like babies aren't communicating, I have commands pending, all things like that. And we have a webinar that'll help you to resolve all those communication concerns that may take up a lot of your time. So we look forward to seeing you all next month. I look forward to seeing you all next month. And again, any questions, please contact product support by phone or by email, and we are more than happy to lend you all the assistance that you need for as long as you need. Thank you very much, and we'll be speaking to you next month.